the dollar's down 11 and gold is up nearly 50. So we are witnessing a pivot away from traditional forms of investment, traditional ideology, into something that we have been talking about that was fringe. And you never heard money managers talk about anything greater than a 5% allocation to precious metals. Now, we always knew that that was underweighted, certainly, but to see the CIO from some of the biggest commercial banks on the planet start to do this tells you that we are moving towards some form of a new understanding, appreciation, or integration of gold and silver into people's portfolios. And quite frankly, if they would have been listening to guys like Alistair or Rick a long time ago, these moves would have been made years ago when there was still a tremendous amount of upside to be made. Now, not to say there isn't now, but how much of the move has been missed, I guess only time will tell. Actually, I don't think that it's been too much in comparison to where I think it is going. But I think the most important thing to take away from this is that you're seeing some of the biggest and influential institutions here in the United States rethink their investment ideology. It's an interesting time, and I hope the general public catches on before it's too late, because I can tell you on the retail side of things, we've seen very sophisticated big money jump in with both feet over the last month or so. Business has been extraordinary. It hasn't been what it was like in 2021, January, February, silver squeeze, where we were getting 500 orders a day. Now we're getting more like maybe 100 or 150, but the size is much greater. The understanding is much greater. The mainstream, they haven't really woken up yet, but there is a subset of people probably listening to Rick and Alistair and you, Dunnigan, who are waking up. And hopefully it's not too late for the rest of the public. Certainly, I think this is a change that is long overdue. And the biggest indictment against the system is, well, there are a couple. Number one would be the cross-border payment system, the renminbi cross-border payment system that was the mBridge. And this system, which is operational, has already been connected to 11 countries in Southeast Asia, which in and of themselves have twice the population of the United States, about 800 million people. And they also have taken over as China's largest trading partner by far. They represent almost 40% of global GDP. They've also connected several Middle Eastern countries, 5 or 6 of them, into this system. And I think when you take a look at the moves that they are making, it is the development of multi-jurisdictional vaults throughout what ultimately, I believe, will be the Belt Road Initiative. The first vault is completed in Hong Kong. The Shanghai Metals Exchange is expanding their reach. The first one is done in Hong Kong. And what it basically means now is that digital yuan is immediately convertible into gold in the Shanghai Exchange in Hong Kong, if you'd like, for delivery without having to convert first back to US dollars. Now, the second exchange, ironically, is being built in Saudi Arabia. Now, if you go back to the genesis of the mBridge platform, Saudi Arabia was the 5th participant, full participant in mBridge. They are now building one inside of Saudi Arabia. Now, I listened to an interview with the gentleman who developed BRICS Pay, which is the cross-border payment system, B2B, business to business, retail, in essence, small bank to small bank, or business to the public. It's like a credit card, in essence, that will connect any of the folks who use the BRICS Pay system. Now, we have to understand that once maybe the biggest move in all of this, that a lot of the naysayers would say the BRICS aren't big enough, they're not substantial enough. And I understand people why they would say that. Independent of their size as is, which represents, I don't know, close to 50% of global GDP. But when Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, came out and said, we're opening this up to everyone except the West, except the dollar, the pound, and the European Union, the bells went off, and they should for everyone. And so the gentleman who is setting up BRICS Pay, the developer, said, yes, we are in the process of right now rolling this along with BRICS Bridge, which is central bank to central bank. These are being opened up and rolled out through the Belt Road Initiative right now. That's 75% of human population. And then you throw in the other institutions like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Eurasian Economic Union, along with the BRICS. These are all very closely tied entities. They're not all part of BRICS, but they will all be able to settle on this cross-border payment system that settles in 7 seconds, free from SWIFT interference at a 98% reduction in fees. But the kicker to it all is that, yes, they all would use their own cross-border payment central bank currencies, the digital currencies, that the majority of the countries in the world are already developing or have developed. The key is that they will be able to settle imbalances in gold, and ultimately, through a series of multi-jurisdictional vaults that started in Hong Kong, is now being built in Saudi Arabia, and then through the rest of the Belt Road, so that they can settle imbalances in gold or completely settle in gold. I think it is a trend that is growing with legitimacy by the day, and I think to underestimate it is a mistake. I think that that's kind of what they're counting on. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. This is not a common currency. This is a common settlement currency, with gold replacing not the dollar, but really what stands behind the dollar. The trust that we've lost is that when you add into it the BRICS Pay layer, which is the B2B side, where anyone who possesses this technology will be able to use it to conduct business. And the fact that it's being rolled out to 75% of human population, the fact that the only institutions, the only countries that will not be able to use it are those within the European Union, the UK, or the United States. All of this settlement outside the dollar, whether it be on central bank side or on the B2B side, on the retail side, is chipping away little by little at the dollar hegemony. And then when you add into it the ability to purchase gold instead of U.S. treasuries, as has been the status quo forever, this chips away at the reserve status. And why would anyone want to own our treasuries with our fiscal irresponsibility, $2 trillion deficits every single year, and the weaponization of the treasury market, the ability to sanction? And President Trump, God bless him for doing what he's trying to do, but you know, when you say to the BRICS countries, if you do this, you unite, we're going to add 150% tariff. That is not a tariff. That is a sanction. This is what is pushing all of these countries together. And I guess, to me, the stroke of genius in all of this is not just making it proprietary to the BRICS countries, but opening it up through a series of treaties, if you will, through all of these countries who are in some way or fashion tied to the BRICS countries. And that, to me, is the key to, I think, this becoming an idea that has merit to one that is wholly legitimate over time. I think if you look at what the premise is of the Mar-a-Lago Accord, Stephen Mirren, who coincidentally has filled the vacated spot at the Federal Reserve, and much of what President Trump talks about, it is to somehow find a way to bring back manufacturing, and that would start with the devalued dollar.